Hello everyone and welcome to ZSR2. Today we've got another match of the Link to the Past Randomizer All Dungeons Keysanity tournament here. We've got brackets round 3 between zelgadissan and Jet. I'm starting with me in comms today is Wolkix. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing fantastic, Star. Thank you for having me with you. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Two really good runners.
Yep, should be a great match here. We've got ourselves two longtime members of the community, both highly experienced runners. Should be a fantastic match. We've got ourselves the basic bog standard most boring version of the AD keys you can get today. It is open. There's no boots. We're just gonna have a good old time here. Thank you, Nilson Alex, for the raid of 92. Welcome in. Or not 92. That's your username. Raid of 44. Welcome in, guys. Thanks for the raid.
For a second, I'm like, if you double 44, you get 92. But then I'm like, wait a minute, nope, that doesn't quite add up. We're almost there, but no, definitely. But yes, Nilson Alex, awesome raid. He was restreaming one of the cross keys matches between Balkan and Telethar. So again, another exciting tournament going on right now. But AD keys, as you mentioned, this is kind of our base AD keys mode. There's no starting boots, it's just regular open mode. But we are going to have to find all of the keys to complete all of the dungeons. That does mean the Gannet's Tower big key. That means 2 Castle Tower keys, as well as, your usual Swamp Small, Ice Rod. Basically, you're going to be searching far and wide. You're going to see a very thorough, full, clear race going on here.
Yep.
And I believe Jet is a former main tournament champion, all things considered. I believe he won 2 years ago, 3. He won a little while ago, but obviously, like I said, very well known, very good runner. Zelda, consistently one of the best at basically whatever he plays, consistently in like the semifinals of the main tournament, the semifinals of cross keys, the finals of like other tournaments. You really can't get 2 better runners than what we have here. This is a really good matchup for, I believe this is top 16.
Brackets round 3, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
We're off here. Immediate sync apologies, and both start at sync with the Ice Palace big key. So that's unfortunately not one of the big keys you need to necessarily beat in a dungeon, but it is nice to find early so you don't end up with that as a fetch quest for later.
Yeah, like when you're kind of routing dungeons and, you excuse me, as you mentioned, there are the big keys that you need to actually beat the dungeons, such like Eastern, Desert, Palace of Darkness, and then you have the big keys, like you said, that are kind of fetch quests. You don't need them to complete the dungeons, but having them just there just makes it so much better. Like you said, you're not thinking about it from a standpoint of what's going on for the rest of the seat.
Yep.
We did see a tree pole and the crab both giving bombs. It's an 8 bomb for tier 1 and the crab giving 4 bombs. So we're not going to have any issues with bomb stage. So heart container on Lumberjack, don't need to worry about that. And I believe I saw a map over at that mushroom spot.
Correct. Maps do give info on defense versus crystals. It is in Keysanity, but since it's AD, we don't really care all that much.
Yeah, and I admittedly didn't see if Zelga went to actually go pick up that
He did
map.
not. There's the Eastern Big, which, as you mentioned, is one of the ones you do actually need to beat the game, so that's good.
Yeah, and Zelga not using his...
the early, though, because that does make the Eastern play a little more appealing to Tier 0 here.
It definitely does, because, early game, you're obviously kind of... Your main focus early game is finding Dark World access. And usually runners aren't the biggest fan of going into Eastern Palace. I know Zelga in Cross Keys is very adamantly against Eastern Palace, but having that big key does open up another check in logic, like you said. So an earlier Eastern dip might not be too bad. But if we were to find a bow here in Kakariko, then I think you're going to see both runners kind of beeline toward the Eastern Palace.
Yep. In the meantime, though, standard opening cac checks, absolutely nothing new here. There's a hammer, speaking of Dark World access.
It's a nice early start.
And there's a map to ice. Alright.
So one of the things I've learned about AD keys as I've played, and I mean I'm not in this tournament, I'm just kind of help running it and whatnot, but like I've learned that in non-entrance modes, the maps and compasses are logically required before beating the dungeon. And so you can almost infer some information as to about what dungeons or like what the game is expecting you to do, like the order of the dungeons in, if you have the map and the compass to a dungeon when you go in for the first time.
That is true. It's not something you didn't necessarily pay a lot of attention to. I believe it is specifically before the crystal or pendant pickup, so you could have the map or compass on the boss. Because the game does that to you sometimes. But yes, that is. You are technically supposed to have that knowledge before you pick up the reward.
But that's an interesting little nugget there to know.
Yeah, and absolutely nothing whatsoever in that well. Which is a little unusual in Keysanity. We tend to see a little bit more than nothing in our multi-item cave. So the bottle vendor does sell as a small key to GT, not one of the more helpful ones. So
that's our first small key.
Yeah, it's true. That one's at least more useful for the climb. But how useful that'll ultimately be is going to depend on what our pendant crystal layout is. Because while GT is still locked behind 7 crystals in this mode, it might lock a pendant.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that our runners are going to have to kind of keep in mind, especially if you're in a situation where maybe you have GT access, but you don't have, or you're like not in go mode because maybe you're looking for a big key to a pendant dungeon. Do you want to take that risk of, hey, I could full clear GT for potentially nothing? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this develops as we kind of get to know our pendant and crystal information. So both runners just kind of, doing the usual Kakariko checks, and I think we've really just picked up a hammer, and that's really about it. So not a
hammer and GT small, technically, yeah. So that was a snore. I totally missed a library check for Zelda, so we'll see it again from Jet in a second. I'm saying a blind race game check, which makes sense. In Keysanity, there's more potentially required items available in New World because keys are restricted to their own dungeon, so there's a higher chance of a race game being required. And that library is 10 arrows. We don't need 10
arrows. And I was definitely going to say, like, given how little we picked up in Kakariko, like, I'm not surprised to see Zelda kind of check a blind and thinking, oh man, it is so little, something has to be on race game. Unfortunately, was not the case this time around.
That's an interesting small key for Zelda, though, in Link's house. That's a desert small. Logically required to beat the dungeon, practically relocks the 2 checks on right side. Since it's 80 keys, you're not sending a key from the back to go right side generally.
I mean, I would agree with you,
but generally a little less so, given that your desert small just might be someplace stupid. Not in this seed, but it can be someplace stupid, and then you end up having to put off desert for way longer.
It's true, and yeah, I would agree that like most of the time you're kind of not like. You're not stealing the key to go check right side, but I've seen runners do it, and I mean, I disagree with that, but that's my personal take on it.
Map to Hyrule Castle is one of the definitely not useful maps for Jet there, and Zelda found a whole lot of nothing from the uncle there.
No, but it looks like he's going to continue on and go ahead and do Friend of Escape. This is something that, like, the front is logically locked by the small key once you get past the first chest. Even if it's not a small key that you ever need to pick up, because you can just route it in a specific way to where you're not locking yourself out. But it'll be interesting to see if we find anything of value here. Jet, meanwhile, finding something very nice at the dam.
That is a hook shot. We thoroughly need that to beat the seed eventually, and can be potentially important relatively early depending on what other things we find.
If for nothing else, it's going to make this mini Moldorm cave a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's for sure, having something ranged to hit these mini Moldorms with.
Yeah, trying to kill these with bombs and a hammer. Never fun.
No, it's a bit slow. And there's another big key, this time the swamp, also one of our fetch quest big keys, the powder and a heart container.
And a pod big key as well. So we have an Eastern and pod big key with a hammer in hand. No pod small keys, but you wonder if, as a runner, you might be looking to think, is there a potential here to combo Pod and Eastern?
Potential. It depends a little bit on where our Dark World access is at. We do already have a hammer, no Moon Pearl, no gloves yet.
Well, we did just get to see a glove on Zelga's side, as a matter of fact, in Hyrule Castle.
Proving me wrong. Logically locked behind that Silver's key, as you mentioned. No, you're good.
That does bring into like the question, where is this Hyrule Castle small key? Because yeah, that glove is locked by the Hyrule Castle key. So potentially maybe just something as simple as being an Eastern Palace or a hostel as that. Maybe those are supposed to be our logical mitts. We don't know yet.
Yep. It is one of those things where you don't necessarily need to stick to the logic since it's just the one small key, but it might be something to keep in mind for later.
Agreed. Like these runners are both very good, and they don't need the help with it when it comes to like, oh, I need to make sure I'm staying in logic. No, but it's like you said, having that knowledge, being able to kind of tell, oh, I'm not supposed to have this quite yet. Maybe that maybe there's something else that I'm missing in an earlier sphere that could be beneficial.
Yep. So good about a front of escape ahead of us Jet at the moment here in Hyrule Castle, but Jet's done part of South Shore as well as Lumberjack checks, so they're fairly close at the moment, just doing your regular early sphere checks.
Yep, Zelda though's in a lot of trouble, down to a half a heart, no way to really handle the snakes that are above because they're in the way. He does get one of them down. Still have to be very careful because there's the death.
You just called it.
Yeah, that's really tough. And again, something else that Jet is going to be able to kind of do a little bit easier should he choose to do it, because he has that hook shot which will kill those snakes pretty easily.
Yep. Here's the glove for him, and this is going to be a safe quit to Sank for Zelda, looking to do a hula hand, it seems.
This is just back of escape.
Or no, back of escape, yeah, right. For some reason that is just not liking there, but yeah, back of escape for 3 more checks. Might as well. Also locked behind the Hyrule Castle small key, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, this could give Zelda a little bit of an indication as to where the small key might be. That sword, though.
Well, the sword is some indication, yeah.
He probably wished he had that sword a moment ago.
Just a bit. There's some After Thieves that I missed earlier, and Jet's not going to do Throat Cross here.
Okay, so Jet's playing a little bit aggressive. He, on top of just not doing Dark Cross just now, he also skipped out on Ice Rod Cave. Like, he stopped his route at Mini Moldrum Cave. So Jet is making some small skips that, over the course of a seed can build up, provided, there's nothing that he's missing.
If there is something that he's missing, he might have to go back there. We don't know yet. And that is the thing, though, as we mentioned, these are both highly skilled runners who've been around for years and years in the community, and there have been races that have come down to frame counts, in fact, in the past.
Yeah. As someone who sometimes has to count those frames, not fun, but it's always exciting to watch.
Yeah, I've done similar things myself, if not for ALttPR. They're fun to watch. Not so fun for me yet. And Zelda finds a hook shot.
Yep, and it looks like Jet's gonna go up the mountain. Out of logic for him, but I mean, with the just sheer amount of density, this is a pretty good play.
Yeah, especially with that hook shot, which gives him access over to right side Death Mountain as well.
Yep, and we can work our way into Hera.
Reason.
we can sequence break and finish Hera if we really need to. So yeah, there's a lot for Jet to do up here.
Yeah, I mentioned Hula Hand for Zelda, who's ended up just farming off the M Cave there instead, as he heads over to the desert.
I mean, he only picked up a little. He only did it once, so he still doesn't have the money, and I don't think there was enough money in like Mini Moldrum Cave, in case he needed it.
Yeah, I don't think there was enough either. I mean, we got, what, 2 big keys, a heart container, and the powder or something in there?
Yeah, something like that. So...
Familiar key off the old man. That's Master Sword off the key. Now that's our logical first. Okay.
Looks like Jet's gonna play this mountain pretty thoroughly, gonna check this top check first, and then hop down and go east of the mountain. Zelga's gonna finish off the South Shore check. I think with the way he's routing it, he is gonna go all the way out to Ice Rod Cave. So this could be a point of difference, definitely, for between these two runners.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about fetch quests earlier. I just found a shovel.
Ew. That is gross.
Yes, it is. It's 1 check, but also it's 1 check.
It's 1 check. It's not really like close to anything. Jet was attempting to bomb across Spec Rock. Unfortunately, took a step backwards and fell. It looked like he was lined up just fine though, but As a result, he's just gonna kind of walk over and finish this off. I didn't see Zelda get the Master Sword. Was that at Agina's cave?
No, yeah, it was in Agina.
Okay.
Logical first.
That's right. We still have not seen our wait. Oh man, it's got to be close by.
It has to be Sewers. Well, yeah, it has to be Sewers Key because it locks both our Master Sword and our Back of Escape. Back of Escape could just be behind our logical mitts, our logical first glove, and then our other glove is someplace else. But yeah, either mitts or Sewers Key has to turn up here.
Yeah, and you know this will be just a heart piece.
And it's not Ice Rock Cave.
All right, so that's time that Jet will likely save, assuming he never goes back for it.
Yep. Now we're going to see Paradox Cave here. I'm assuming our logic's in the eastern area, given we've about run out of other places to check that's in logic here.
Yeah, I think all we have left logically, like you said, is just Sahasrara and Eastern Palace. So that Eastern Big could come into play, but you know, will be very interesting to see what we find here in Paradox and maybe even in Tower of Hera. Speaking of, there's a nice big key to Tower of Hera.
And our second layer small, okay, game. And the cape. And the small key to TR. We need that.
We need at least 2 more of those too.
Yep. Cape is our logical access to Vaga Tower.
Yeah, but we still don't have any logical access to the mountain, so...
Yeah, never mind. You have a point, so lovely. More things that are fun for this logic test we've got ourselves here. Vaga Tower, though, is currently out of logic check. Well, that said, the first check, as we see a red meringue on the floating island.
I'm sure Aga Tower is something neither runner is very interested in doing until they have both keys in general.
Yeah, it's for sure, especially Jet, who knows it is just a hard container on Lumberjack Ledge.
Mm-hmm. And I believe Zelga also checked that a moment ago before coming up to the mountain. So both runners here on the mountain. Jet, I'm assuming, will Hera pot and finish off Tower of Hera. We do get a small key here, though.
I would assume so. I mean, you're here and running low on things to do, as you see a second GT small of dubious usefulness.
I like that word, dubious. That was a very good word he used. I was gonna say Jet's gonna Hera pot, but no, we also picked up the Hera big key. But doesn't look like Jet's all that interested in Hera potting.
Yep.
I definitely forgot we just picked up that big key.
I'll be honest, I did as well, but that wasn't Paradox Cave.
It's true. We only just saw it a moment ago. It's fine. I forgive us. And if chat doesn't forgive us, too bad, chat.
And speaking of Castle Tower keys...
Oh! Hello, Castle Tower key.
And Zelga's not going to go right side Death Mountain, which is...
I think he is. No? Yeah, no, he just... He must consider it faster to just save and quit after picking up the item and going across, which I think it is. I don't think it's too much faster. I think if you definitely fall like Jet did, it becomes so much better just to save and quit and start from the old man. But I think if you bomb jump, you might still be able to save a little time. But I am also not someone who checks those things.
Me neither. I am not of a skill level in ALttPR where that kind of time save matters.
I'm gonna time this out exactly.
Also fair, as we get our first... great, that's a pendant.
Yeah, it's a not great pendant, but, you know, it's a dungeon you gotta do, so...
Yeah, might as well. Speaking of our GT smalls that we found 2 of so far that may or may not be relevant depending on our pendant layout, that's less stuff that can be in GT. So.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap up the mountain here with Spiral Cave for Jet, Zelda finishing off Paradox here.
And then from there it'll be interesting. I'm assuming Jet will probably then just make his way over to the Eastern Palace area.
I mean, where else are you going at this point?
First check Castle. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to Castle Tower this early.
They can do both, technically, though.
They could do both, yeah.
But yeah, this is not, it's not the most appealing play right now for either runner. They're both capable of doing Tower in the Dark as well, but they might not be the thing they want to do. As you find our first Skullwood Small of the Seed.
Skullwood's logically locked, or at least the boss is logically locked by all 3 small keys, but you generally don't need any keys because Skullwood is kind and gives you keys.
Yep,
or at least
there's a whole bunch under various pots.
And this isn't cross keys, so you don't have to play, do I need to drop down and hope I drop down into the correct hole?
Yep.
Because that's unexciting.
That's for sure.
So Jet's on his way to Sahasrara, and then we'll probably just play this right in Eastern Palace. A Moon Pearl would give us Darkwood access. I'd be curious if we get it here, whether Jet chooses to go into Eastern Palace, considering that we'd still missing some logical aspects of our seed. But it doesn't look like...
to TR, and there's a Super's key.
There's a Hyrule Castle key. Okay, so that does put the glove into logic.
Unfortunately, that doesn't put a whole lot of anything else in logic right now.
I mean, the only additional thing in logic that we have now is Zora.
That's true. There is Zora, I suppose, although might not be the most appealing.
No, but with the Eastern Big Key, we can actually go, rather, as opposed to going, like, to Armos Knights, we can head east in the Dark Room and go into the Rupee Room, which will give us 90 rupees if we need the extra money for Zora. That's not something that you normally see, but it's definitely something that can help out a little bit. And Jet's already starting to pick up some additional money. He recognizes the fact that logically he's down to this in Zora. Although he has Ishard Cave and Agina's Cave.
Yeah, which we know Agina's got his Master Sword, which he would like to pick up, and also the nice Ishard Cave was Heart Piece. And Zelda gets his first pendant of the seed. Yeah, we're running low on checks. Here's your second TR small, that's handy.
Yep. In your head, you're thinking, alright, just one more, and I should be fine for that dungeon. And then you just hope that the vanilla big key chest never has anything.
Yep.
And then you cry when it has nothing. Or when it has something. I messed that up, don't worry about me.
You're good. Also, don't miscount your keys. I saw a race recently where I commentated a race the other week where someone just straight up forgot they had 3 TR smalls and put it off for ages.
Oops.
Because they were looking for what they thought was their third, and then got in the door, and once they found what they thought was their third TR small, and then they're like, why is there 4 TR smalls on my screen?
Oh no.
It was a feels bad. Here's our second Castle Tower small game. That's it for logic in here.
That's it for logic in here. That logically opens up... I mean, we do have Castle Tower logic because both of our swords are now in logic.
Yep, we had one in Back of Escape and the other in Agina, so Jet doesn't know that. And then we've got the first chest of Agate Tower is in, the second chest is not. We also have an in-logic Zora and out-of-logic water checks. Although Waterfall Fairy is going to be fun with her current... Can you even do Waterfall Fairy with her present equipment?
No, not without the Moon Pearl or boots.
I was thinking they don't have enough for an Ansela fake flipper here.
No, I mean they could fake flipper. Oh, Potsmall. I mean they could still fake flipper. You can walk all the way down to Ishard Cave, which is probably where Jet is going to head. And then you can fake flipper. Oh no, he's doing the shovel. We forgot.
It is out of logic since that was on the mountain.
Yeah.
But it is one of our otherwise outstanding checks, given that we are down to maybe half a dozen checks in the game in or out of logic right now.
I mean, we're down to 3 checks, period. That's a heart piece.
Yeah, because it's what Aka Tower first and second checks, which are in and out of logic respectively, Zora, and yeah, that's about it.
And that's literally it. Oh no, we have powder and the hammer. Gross.
You've got a point. I forgot we had magic. That is in logic, because powder was
that is in logic. This is why I do so much better running than I do commentating, because when I'm running, I'm at least like at least half able to be like, oh, I have this and this and this. Commentating, I'm like, we have this. Oh, we have this.
To be fair, also when you're running, you only have your own game feed to pay attention to. There's at least 2 runners on comms though, and that always adds a little bit of chaos as Zelda finds his second TR small.
That's true.
And Magic Matt has for us the lab. Yay!
Oh,
okay,
no.
Now all of Aka Tower's in.
Yeah, but we still don't have like a Moon Pearl. Like, is this gonna be a seed where our Moon Pearl just sitting like on the pyramid?
Or not Lumberjack. Yeah, pyramid's a very real possibility at this point. I mean, there's only so much to do, and Jet's gonna head straight for Aka Tower here.
Yeah.
Just found the. It's in logic for him. The lab puts his cape on the mountain in logic, so yeah, this is where he's going.
This is such a gross chain of events.
This makes sense, because he's got 2 checks, and this is quite literally the densest play in the game with 3 checks out of this effectively, counting Pyramid Ledge. As stupid as that sounds. This makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense, and I mean, you might as well just finish Castle Tower while you're here.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you have to do so eventually. You're really running out of stuff, and Pyramid Ledge is it.
Like even if you pick up a Moon Pearl. Oh god.
Oh, game. That's adding to the fetch quests. Hi, Mushroom. And a book head over to, and he's actually just. I was gonna say, yeah, just getting hit.
Yeah, you're just finishing Castle Tower because you're right here, but like afterwards, you know, at this point, chances of the Moon Pearl being on Pyramid aren't significantly high. They're definitely higher than they normally are, but given that the 2 items that we just got in Castle Tower are the Mushroom, which opens a check, and the book, which gets us into Desert Palace for 3 logic checks, gross.
3 logic checks and Ether Tablet's a thing too. I think really don't want to go back up
we
again
have
for
Ether
that.
Tablet too. Oh my god.
We do have Master Sword, which is in Nagina, which Jet will get when he goes to Desert.
Oh my goodness. This is such a horrible Moon Pearl sequence.
It is. I forgot to briefly. I'll be right back. Since we're going to be here for a while, and I need that.
Yeah, Zelda is just right now currently following in Jet's footsteps. We'll pick up the lamp and basically curse and go to Castle Tower, or he'll curse even more, and then, oh dear, finish off Castle Tower. Good time at this point to say, hey, that this is the round of 16 of the All Dungeons Keysanity tournament between Jet and Zelda. This is game 1 of their race, just a regular base AD keys. Open, no starting boots. Both these runners have had to go through some pretty tough competition to get here. Jet did not do Dark Cross. Both runners actually did not do Dark Cross. Zelda died on the way, and it looks like he's going to go check that right now.
Yeah, he's been a little bit more thorough. Jet skipped that. Ace round Keysanity, which has led to, we don't know, his Master Sword and nothing. First blue ball there for Jet. Yeah, I am appropriately hydrated, given that this seems to be shaping up to be a bit of a spicy seed here. And 2 blue balls so far.
So if you're Jet, what's going to be your first play? Assuming that the Moon Pearl isn't right here. Zelda does get plenty of money.
Desert area is fairly appealing. It's actually book actually gives us basically 4 checks in desert, counting Desert Ledge. You got something in Dark Cross?
Just 300 rupees in Dark Cross.
Okay, well that's Zora money, I guess.
I say, yeah, that's Zora money, and I'm not sure if I don't think Zelda looked at Desert Ledge when he was over in Nagima's cave area, so
I don't remember him walking over there. No.
That makes sense.
I got trolling affair, but I think I counted 5 blue balls on him. But alright, we are in Dark World now. Cute little buddy sprite here for Jet. As he find that's a small key game.
Tower of Hera. Tower of Hera.
Yeah.
I didn't actually want it to be Tower of Hera. No. Oh no.
You called it.
That is like, you see that small key and you're like, that's the last thing I'm doing. Even if the Moon Pearl is there, like, I will combo that in with Ether Tablet as the last check possible.
That is such a bad spot. It does make the Ether Tablet marginally less terrible. I mean, we're still so low on checks. It's Ether Tablet that it's before we have the. There's 4 checks in Desert. Jets can also pick up his Master Sword from Agina. Well, 3 checks in Desert plus the Desert Ledge, technically. So 4 checks total there. Yeah. Master Sword for Jet here. Ether Tablet, Hera Basement, Zora, and Mushroom.
Yep. Yep.
Fetch Quest the Seed, I guess?
Yes. Just pick your fetch quest and hope for the best. And then you get Dark World access.
Probably not super thrilled about that Master Sword, given the Aga Tower trip. But, well, he has it now, so...
I think overall he did fine with the trip.
Yeah. Didn't die, which is the big thing.
It's always a good thing when you don't die.
He did a fair bit of damage, so I was a little worried for him at times. I took missed Desert Ledge there. Whoops.
That was just 20 rupees.
Alright, so not that, and he... yeah, we're... Like, once they get to Dark World, they have a good amount of things to do in the Village of Outcasts Skull Woods area, but they just... And the pod area, too, with the... Potentially, depending on the key light. No, we only have 1 pod small, but we can do some checks in there still.
Yeah, like, there's still not a whole lot of direction. Like, you can't even beat a dungeon yet in the Dark World.
No, we don't have Big Key for Thieves, we don't have a Fire Rod for Skull Woods, we don't have a boat or keys for Pod. Never mind the Fire Rod.
I think that makes that decision a little bit easier.
Yeah. And there's a map to Swamp, thanks. Which we can't get into since we don't have a mirror or flippers. That is in fact a fire-locked fire source since Book was in Aga Tower 2 and that was locked behind. That's logically locked behind lamp.
Something, fire, something, fire. There are some people who might call that the rule of fire. Sure.
There is officially Jet's Zora money as well, $300 in the desert map chest. And 10 euros on the torch is not required. So Desert, despite being the density play, was not actually,
wasn't the answer, but I'm sure Jet is happy that he went over there picking up that fire rod. Because that offers a little bit of direction once he does get Dark World access, which I think we're going to turn in the mushroom next.
Yep, I'm gonna do a fake flipper over here.
He might just combo this into Zora, because you're like, this is definitely the closest he's gonna beat a Zora.
Yeah. Chain together 2 of his very few remaining checks.
Zelga's done with Aga 1. Gonna pick up his Tower of Hera small key and continue to curse.
Yeah. Alright, Alright, what's our mushroom got for us today? Nope.
God. This is just going horribly.
You don't say. Morgan in chat saying we know it's on Hera Basement, and the rate that we're going, it really might be.
It's probably Hera Basement. You're probably right.
The seed certainly smells like that's where it's wanting us to go right now. Hey VXR, welcome in. We... So
it's going horribly.
Yeah. So the seed wanted you to get your powder from Mini Moldorm Cave, to get your lamp from Magic Bat, to go up the mountain for an assortment of things, as well as to get to go to Aga Tower for a mushroom and a book. We're still at Moon Pearl.
Yeah, we're done with it. We're done with Aga 1. Still looking for the Moon Pearl on both runner sides.
And by the way, Terra Squall is on Desert Ledge. Desert Pyramid Ledge, because of course it is, and Sora offering negative 96% return on investment as as usual. No thanks. Welcome in CSR main rating with a party of 90. Welcome into our Majora's Mask Rando Raiders. Hope you're doing well. We're having... This is a viewer seat. Viewers are enjoying this, I'm sure. I'm not sure the runners are.
I am impressed that Jet is continuing to hold out on the skips that he's made. Because, like, he still hasn't done Ice Rod Cave, he still hasn't done Dark Cross, and he is just, at this point, doubling down on pretty much everything that he's picked up along the way in Castle Tower. Meaning, you know, he's now going to go do Ether Tablet into Hera Basement, one of which will give us our Moon Pearl.
Because we have... Or something that leads to the Moon Pearl. There's still one or two stupid fetch quests left, I think.
I think we've handled our fetch quests otherwise. We've turned in the mushroom, we've turned in Magic Bat, we've done the shovel.
We're Desert Pig with both fetch quests right now.
Oh no.
We do have a Blood Glove, and a Fire Rod, and a Lamp, remember?
I mean... Yeah, I guess. Definitely Ether Tablet first. And it looks like Zelga's following right up with Jet's footsteps. Is this our Moon Pearl?
No, that's a heart tease.
It's actually Hera Basement.
There's another fetch quest. We don't have a bottle.
We don't have a bottle. This is true.
Anyway, it's either Moon Pearl, bottle, Eastern Big, or Desert Dick. Or not Eastern Big, Bow or Desert Big.
Yeah.
Are the possible things that could open up new checks now because
Flippers could open up a few things.
Flippers, yeah, that's true. Flippers would open some stuff up for them, but yeah. We're running out of everything. This is for those who just came in, we're running out of everything. And our runners are really trying and failing to find it.
I don't blame them for failing to find them, though.
Boots wouldn't unlock anything right now. I hear we know Lumberjack is dead, and so is the Bomb Crocs. Duh, thank you. Yeah. We do know, however, that Lumberjack, Legend Library are both useless. Beer Bow does unlock our most nights. We've got a logical Eastern Big and access, and we've got both Flamp and Fire Rod. That's in.
Hey, look! It's
and there it is.
Pearl.
Alright, finally, 3648, we've got the Moon Pearl. Oh, true, Eastern Map and Compass you don't have, that's right, for logic, as you were talking about earlier, wall kicks. Duh.
Yeah, I as much as I don't like paying attention to logic, that is unfortunately true logic. So, you need to keep that. I think we have the Eastern Compass, I know for sure we don't have the map.
Alright, fetch quest over for now. It's time for Dark World. Yep.
Alright, time to actually pay attention to the seed again.
We've just spent the past 15 minutes chasing one object to find our Moon Pearl.
We can actually go look for new things now.
Starting with the Big Key of Thieves.
Hey, something you'll like to see.
And Skullwoods in one trip. We've got also the Cane, our third TR small. There's our Hera map and $20. Speaking of TR, once we get access, that's starting to smell a bit.
Yeah, I said that's feeling pretty spicy. You kind of probably want to hope a little bit for the big key before you dip TR, but 3 small keys, Cane, Fire Rod, it's definitely looking juicy, like you said, once we get access to it.
Yep. I actually did remember that we don't have access to it, which is something I did not always reliably remember. But they're gonna see you play straight to Village of Outcast, Steve standing on Skullwoods here for Jet, which makes sense. No mirror, sadly. No mirror, but so can't do K45 yet, but has already turned into Shovel.
Fantastic.
So that was one of their where's our move for all chase things.
Zelda picking up his Thieves Big, TR Small, and Cane of Samaria. Curious to see if he's going to go the same way as Jet, which is fairly typical for runners, or if he chooses to go up to, well, I'd say Pyramid Catfish, but we've already done Pyramid, so yeah, you're definitely going left out of here.
Yeah, and there's no real, I would not rush Pod right now. No bow, 1 small key.
Yeah, that's a bad play.
It's going to check his red crystals, it looks like, at least.
I say that, and we're going to like walk into Pod in 20 minutes when we've done everything else, and somehow that'll be the answer.
That's possible, as you find out Desert and TR are a red crystal, so Pyramid Fairy might be a little bit, though again, maybe not, given how we already have our TR. Was that Swamp, the Pendant Swamp and Pendant Skull Woods there? I wasn't quite sure on the map check.
I didn't see Pendant Swamp. I definitely saw Pendant Skull. Everything else I thought was a crystal, but I could be mistaken there.
I'm not stellar at map checks myself, so hopefully someone in chat was caught it for us.
It's almost as if they don't do map checks thinking of the restreaming and the crew and the commentaries. It's almost like they map check just for themselves.
Yeah, Zelga's not going to just follow here to dig game, which is nothing particular, and jets it off to the village.
We need to make it a point to tell the runners that whenever you're going to map check, put like an alert on your stream real quick. Hey, I'm map checking, pay attention for 10 seconds.
Well, their map checks are usually not 10 seconds either.
No, that's true. but the idea is there.
Okay, and I can't thank you. Our tracker is update from Zelga's personal tracker, which looks like just 1 pendant info so far is Green Pendant Skull. And we also have crystals on Thieves, Ice, and Swamp. So yeah, my eyesight vaguely sucks, which, yes it does, so... And the past map check doesn't help. Single arrow for Jet. We're just gonna see a clear of those Skullwoods and Thieves, as well as the Village of Outcasts here. No Thieves Small, and no Skullwoods Big, so we'll have to leave 1 check behind in each dungeon right now, unless either of those things show up here.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised Jet took the path he did. I mean, it's not that big of a deal in hindsight, because we've had this small key, but I feel like dropping down and going the way he did is probably a little slower, but again, I am not an expert as to what is fast and what is slow.
Me neither. But that is the front pit here, cleared, and is gonna head on over to the back. Going to idly note that one thing, neither runner that checked on their way to this portal here by the Village of Outcasts is neither of them have read the pet, and unless they play their mirror in Skullwoods, they're not going to be reading the pet anytime soon either.
Yep, this very much seems like if pet is our answer at any point, it'll be a blind poll.
Yep. It's like we're gonna start with a big key chest, which is just $20.
Yeah, it looks like Zelga's going to route it in a way that, like, he's going to essentially do back to front. Jet kind of doing the opposite way, which I don't think it matters all that much. They're both going to get the same checks at relatively the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really going to... You're doing all the checks anyway, so the order is relatively inconsequential. It's not like you're going to find go mode here and skip the rest. Because they are a long way from go mode. We're missing a bunch of keys, ice rod, bow, at least 1 medallion, flute, flippers, there's a bunch of stuff.
It's like we haven't even started the seed yet. No, I'm just kidding.
We did spend 37 minutes looking for a new pearl.
That's true.
Nothing under the bridge, just 300 more bucks.
Zelda taking the death, Jet choosing not to take the death, and I think this is going to show that in Zelda's situation, taking the death appears.
I'm honestly not sure if it mattered all that much between the two runners.
Nah.
They're pretty close anyhow here, heading to the back. Zelda just a couple seconds behind.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure, you know, with runners of this caliber, they're always going to be looking for ways to save time, and so, you know, maybe in their head they're like, oh, I can save a couple seconds here, a couple seconds there, which, excuse me, over the course of a longer seed like 80 keys adds up.
Yes, it does. Your own mouth now, not the greatest equipment of all time. We've got 7 hearts, green mail, master sword, but the runners of this skill level should be fine, and that is a next mouth down for Jet. Very nice.
Yeah, Zelda's having a little bit more trouble. Ooh, a little careful. They're down to 3 hearts.
Yeah.
But he gets it.
Alright. Nice mouth fights for both. That is 20 bucks and your second pendant.
Oh, we're 2 for 2 on pendants. I didn't even think of that.
Yep!
Oh my god. It's awful.
You know about that pet I was talking about a second ago?
Yeah, I mean, that could come into play a little bit earlier than we think. Although our last options for our pendants is down to Meyer, Pod, and Eastern.
Eastern's been a little suspicious for a bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's it.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that Eastern had as little as it did. I think it had a TR small, and that was about it, according to my notes.
I think it had one of our castle tower keys, though, didn't it?
Yeah, actually, you're right. Big chest.
Yep. So we did need to make that dip.
Nothing on bumper ledge for Jet.
Oh, thank you. I was about to be like, I did not see bumper ledge.
Well, I didn't see it either, but he's not going for it, and he can get it, so I assume not.
Yep, you know what? That's very true.
It was a compass, thanks, here. But yeah, they have cape. That was Jet's logical access, or so he thought, to his Zaga Tower. So he, yeah.
I think if you're Jet in this scenario, you're probably finishing off Thieves Town regardless.
You're here. There's still not a ton of appealing checks.
I would say because we're very quickly running into the, man, we're down to like Palace of Darkness. Oh, there's Amir.
Yeah,
What's
so
Amir do for us?
Pod Eastern, Cape 45, Graveyard Ledge, you know, those things. It gets us Bobo's tablet.
Oh my goodness.
And I was thinking that Spike Cave's a thing. Since I was just talking about the cave.
I don't think we don't have a bottle. Like the cape by itself doesn't put Spike Cave into logic.
That is true. Forgot that.
We did pick up
flippers for logical. Where were those? I actually missed that.
That was chess game a moment ago.
Okay, thank you. So that does. Okay, so the first check of Swamp is in. We can route that with Pablo's tablet, I guess. We can now go do those checks in those water checks we couldn't do earlier.
I'm just like, oh, the seed.
The seed continues to be on. It's great for the viewers, and I'm sure the runners are not thrilled with things at the moment. Zelga's going to finish off the village, and I don't see the reason why he doesn't go into Thieves here.
Yeah, he's definitely going to at least do the front 4, and like, just given the overall lack of appealing things we have left. Hey, there's the Cane and Burner, which will put Spike Cave into logic.
Yep.
I have to imagine that finishing Thieves is probably going to be something Zelda does, as we see Jet is heading to the back now as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many lousy checks. We've got a 1 pod small, we've got no bow for that Ori finishing Eastern, we've got no swamp small, we've got the swamp big, but that doesn't do much of anything good for us right now. We can't get into ice.
Yeah, there's just a whole lot of nothing. Zelda pulled off a nice little like hook shotting to that pot that's over there. The one that he hook shot to here right before the second chest, there's an anti-fairy under that pot, and so you actually have to, if you want to hook shot to that pot, there you have a very, very small window with which to actually hook shot onto, because otherwise you're going to hit the anti-fairy and your hook shot will generally just get rejected.
Yep. And we remain in the let's go list off what checks are relevant in logic, because there's less than 20 of them in con-coms. Again!
I mean, the one check that is in logic here in the back of Thief Sound is Blind Cell.
Yeah,
so,
because we don't have the Thief Small, we do just get a blue veil, thanks. Nice, but that doesn't help with...
We can't use it, it's not... No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, most of this place is... That blue veil is technically out of logic. If it's anything, since you don't have the Thief Small.
Imagine picking it up and like, if it's out of logic, it instead of doing half damage, it now just does double damage. So anything that does 1 heart does 2 hearts, and anything that does 2 hearts does 4. Until you put it into logic, in which case then everything goes back to normal.
That would be something.
It's like, I am getting thoughts in my head. Is that possible? No. Is it funny? Yes.
And that's not helpful, game. I mean, there's only so many things we have to talk about this season that's been really linear and really, really dry.
Yeah, like...
We have not seen substantial divergence between our runners today.
No, and there really hasn't been the opportunity for a substantial divergence. I mean, you know, Jet has probably gained a little bit of a lead, as you see, because he's at the end of Thief Sound and Zelda hasn't quite finished it. But that's because Jet has skipped a couple of checks that Zelda's been more thorough about, and you know, we know that those will pay off for Jet, assuming he never goes back for them. But it's still not like a lead like, oh my god, this is some insurmountable lead. There's still going to be a lot of race going. We're 50 minutes in. Hey, look,
yeah,
a shield.
That shield is not helpful. He's giving us, what? Key to Berta, a shield, and a blue veil. Safeties! The dungeon, I guess.
Safeties! So, a little bit of an option for divergence here. Jet is going to go north. This is what I was going to try to get to this before Jet chose to go north, but like, you can go north to do Graveyard Ledge into Catfish and the Waterfall Fairy checks. Or you could go south, do K45 into Bombo's Tablet, First Chest Swamp. I don't think either runner has looked at what was on Lake Hylia Island.
Nope, don't think either runner went by there, so that's...
So yeah,
that is an in-logic check that I forgot existed until just now, thank you.
You're welcome, but this is a point of potential divergence, which is something we haven't seen a lot of so far this season.
No, so we'll have to see where Zelda goes from here. Starting with Graveyard Ledge for Jet, as mentioned, is a small key to... Odd. That helps.
Okay.
Still would like a boat before you go in, I think.
And both runners continue to be lockstep within each other. That Zelda follows right here to go north.
Yeah. Second pod small, logically useless, does get them to the back if they felt like going in, so... 2 pod smalls, no bow. No big key, not the...
We do have the big key to...
Oh wait, no, we have the key, I'm scatterbraining.
Yeah.
So... play they could make, not sure how appealing it is though with the current item set. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I still suspect we're not going to see Palace of Darkness quite yet.
Here's the key for Zelda.
Now, Zelda hasn't done Zora, so I suspect that once Zelga does Catfish into Waterfall Fairy, he's going to finish off and do Zora. That's part of the reason for the rupee discrepancy.
Yeah, probably also part of what sent him north and not south as well.
Agreed.
Speaking of bows, there's that.
Hey, alright, that is a much nicer reason to head over towards this area. And looks like Jet has the same thought. He's going to be walking to Pod from here. With the Aga 1 done, and with the mirror in hand, saving and quitting in the Dark World will put you on the pyramid at this point.
Yeah, which might be somewhat faster. I'm honestly not sure on the exact timing.
In this scenario, it definitely would be faster.
Because this is not the fastest of walks.
No.
But they will be able to now go beat Eastern and Clearouts.
Depends on how you want to handle these two pod small keys. I am fervently against going around the right side a billion times to try to avoid opening the front door. Like, I'm always just like, just open the front door anyways. So you can either open the front door and then use the second small key to get to the back for a bunch of checks, or you can open the front door, use the second small key to go to Helmasaur King, or you can try to subvert that by going right 3 or 4 times, and maybe get to the back and get to Helmasaur King.
Fubu had red mail for us. So we now have a green-haired Samus there. Apologies that I know absolutely nothing about the Super Metroid series, and we'll see what Zelga's sprite ends up being. I know he's playing with the MMX MSU, Mega Man X, one of the Mega Man X MSUs. I think he said it was the SNES medley one. There's a few of them around. And I believe that's also a Mega Man sprite, though I don't know anything about that series either, so I can't tell you the specifics.
That is for sure a Mega Man X sprite.
Yeah, so that's, if anyone is wondering, we haven't mentioned cosmetics. Yeah, that's what they're both playing with. We'll go save quitting back at Link's House. This is going to take the portal here. Head for Pod, if I had guess at this point.
Yep, this is going to be a Pod play from both of our runners. Similarly, I expect Zelga to also mirror and do Hobo while he's walking in this direction. 2 small keys. Again, curious to see how these runners plan on routing Pod. And if we even get anything of value in here.
Yeah, there's no guarantees as we get 3 bombs, speaking of things.
I mean, we have, what, 5 in logic checks here in Pod?
Let's see, what? Stalfo's basement.
First chest.
So there was a first chest, Stalfo's basement, 2 on right side. What else?
And the arena ledge, bridge chest.
Those are the 5 with 2 smalls. Yeah, about 1 small puts those in. 1 small in the bow puts those in. The second small doesn't do anything particular because you need 4 to really get anywhere here. That's the first few checks.
Which again, that's the question. Like, it's great that this entire scene we've been like, oh, this is the most dense thing they have. It's like 3 items.
It really is. I mean, we still don't have much. We've got nothing here, just $50. Aside from this, we've got Bombo's tablet plus the first chest of swamp. We've got more nothing.
K45
We've got,
Lake Hylia
that
Island.
was nothing. Yeah, K45 Lake Hylia Island. They've got Armos Knights.
So curiously, Jet did not open the front door, so it looks like he's going to try to use these 2 pod small keys. I suspect we might see him try to finish Helmasaur after doing the back here. We'll need to come back another time to do the 2 in-logic checks that he actually has left. So he is trying to hold on and use these keys as best as he can.
Yeah. Which, as you mentioned, is very slow, but he does want to try and clear as much as he can, which I can also get given, you know, how much they have left in the seed right now.
Yeah, and it would be very much like the seed to, like, in Cave 45 and on Bombo's tablet, put, like, 2 more pod small keys.
Just to go send you back here, logically.
Just to send you right back.
Jet's gonna go... Okay, yeah, reset the room for Hammer Yumpin. Zelda's gonna go check the first chest of pod, is gonna go see pod's small arms, I guess, here, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real possibility that there is just a pod small in the armor tonight, and that's a very logic PR pick key.
Yeah, that's 6 pod key lock. That's, considering how much we've had for that dungeon, I'm a little surprised that it's seemingly locked pretty deep into the seed.
Yeah, because we've only got 2 out of 6 pod smalls, which is itself a bit of a rarity almost an hour in.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw a scene a few weeks ago where I think we had 5 out of 6 pod smalls 8 minutes in.
Oh my god.
That was stupid. Like, just, here's all of the pod smalls intact. Unsurprisingly, pod had some very early dark progression.
I was gonna say, it was like, my first play once I get Dark World, probably pod at that point.
I mean, if the scene gives you 5 pod smalls in the first 8 minutes, you have to be suspicious of it. But this scene is like the opposite of that. We're almost an hour in and we still only have 2. And the TR big's one of the more important big keys too, because it locks a decent amount of stuff in that dungeon.
Yeah, I think up until you get to that big chest, it's what, 4 checks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checks. There's 5 checks in TR before you need the big key. One of which is locked by all 4 TR small keys.
Yep. And there's also Mimic Cave, I suppose.
Oh yeah, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Which is, for all intents and purposes, part of TR. Speaking of that earlier...
Hey, it's our 3rd pendant!
In Logic!
In Logic!
Oh, actually, no. Yeah, no.
I mean, Skullwoods isn't in Logic yet, but...
And we haven't been keeping track of maps near compasses, but that's suspicious.
Yeah, it's very suspicious.
You have to think, I don't know.
Zelda is going to open this front door and give us these 2 in Logic checks for us.
Yep.
Or he's going to give us one of them and then go elsewhere. Rude.
Oh, that's a pair of mitts.
Those are some good mitts.
That opens up a bunch of stuff.
Yep. And it is our Logic, finally.
Yes. We did not have to quite do every check left in the game for this, unlike our Moon Pearl. We came close, there's really not much left. There was not a lot left besides those bits, but that is not quite a true last location the way the Moon Pearl was.
Yep. So Jet's gonna have to go around again in order to get those mitts.
Yeah. I don't see him leaving them behind as slow as it is to get back there, just because there's really not much left in the game.
Yeah, it's like at this point, the rest of your checks are slow and very bad.
Yeah. And they get a very out of logic small key to the
Oh my god!
Somewhere on the list of fetch quest things.
Why are so many like necessary keys locked behind 6 pod keys that just don't exist?
That's a really good question. Oh, Jet's gonna go finish Charbo's Knights. I really hope he goes back into pod after this.
Oh, definitely hope he goes back into pod after this. We are an hour into the seed. I'm going to go ahead and say you should definitely give both of our runners a follow, zelgadissan and Jet082. This is the round of 16 of our All Dungeons Keysanity Tournament, 80 keys. Game 1 between these 2 runners, both of them amazing individuals, great runners. So yeah, make sure to give them a follow. I'm Wallkicks, Star, my co-commentary. I believe you're also restreaming the race. There we go, that took a second.
You're good, and thanks to Wallkicks as well for joining me on the comms.
And also shouting out our trackers, Lady Laura Linda and Akir, who are much better at keeping track of things than I am.
Yes. Alright, Zelda has chosen to open the door to the back, so he will not be able to beat Helma for now for that Thief Small, which And it's probably not a big deal for now, but we'll see. Is going to pick up his TR big though and be like, what?
What? He does have the mitts though. Curious to see kind of what his first play is going to be. We do have the big key to ice, but we don't have any small keys. So that's definitely on the table considering we do have the Cane of Samaria, so Icebreaker is on the table.
We could also go back up the mountain until we have no medallions is a bit concerning, as well as our lack of a third. Well, we have 3 TR smalls, but no medallions and no ice rod. It is, So you can route Spike Cave in with that mess if you so choose. But yeah, there's also things like Smith Chain, which they do have the mirror for, I suppose.
Yeah. Zelga picking apart to tell me that this was going to be an ice play, and yeah, he's just going straight there. Curious to see if he finds something like, if you see the boots right here, do you like turn around and like, boots? It's not the boots.
No, just bombs. Boots would have been funny there.
Like if it's boots, you like immediately turn around and go to the Dark World so you can get those on the way here.
Yeah, we can see Jet's face cam as he decides to save quote without his mitts. On our commentary page, the chat can't see it. He just made a bit of a hand gesture at seeing that third pendant. He's probably not amused with it.
Yeah, that him missing those mitts is going to be a big problem, and I think this will kind of swing the race in Zelga's favor rather significantly.
I agree, unless Jets finds something really big here on these handful of remaining checks, which, see.
Like, I think, weirdly enough, I think probably the best thing that Jet would be able to find in this scenario, there's our 4th Turtle Rock small key, by the way, is a vanilla Swamp Small.
I would agree with you, actually, yeah, because that's notoriously terrible as he forgets to check it.
I think the seed has rattled him a little bit, which, to be fair, would rattle pretty much anybody.
This is with a fairly mean seed, for sure, yeah. Here's a heart piece for Zelga. But yeah, don't forget to pull those people. Jet needs another 2 pod smalls to push him back there. Probably a lot now. 2 more pod smalls, or I've done everything else in the game. Not sure which will be first.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be I've done everything else in the game first.
Yeah, you're probably right, admittedly. And Fire Shield is not, unfortunately, a vanilla Swamp Small. It's just so little for Jet. He's got, Bombo's Tablet.
Like, he'll finish this off. He'll do Bombo's Tablet K45. But then he's kind of got to make the yeah. Well, no, he's done all the water checks at this point.
Wait, no, he has. He just hasn't seen floating out. Lake Island, right.
Yep.
That's about it. But yeah, like, there's just a little left as he gets a small key to ice in the Ice Palace big chest. Thanks, game.
Good small key.
And a herpes off Bombo's Tablet. Yeah, there's just not much left for Jet, unfortunately. It's just a time loss, most likely, because there's so little for him to do.
Yeah, so he'll probably get back to pod fairly quickly. But as we mentioned, like, this is just essentially all turning into a little bit of a time loss because assuming Zelga will come back for some of these checks, he'll just be able to probably route it more efficiently.
Yeah.
Jet's already unfortunately wasted, 45 seconds or whatever doing the first check of Swamp Palace. Zelga's probably not coming back here without that Swamp Small key, so that's an entire group of checks that he won't have to worry about.
And that's a small key to GT. I would have laughed if that was the Swamp Small right there.
I would have just ate my words at that point.
But this is going to be a route towards... where is he going?
I'm not sure. He doesn't have a bottle.
Is this a really long hike to Ped?
This might be a really long hike to Ped.
I'm honestly not sure what else he has to do in this area.
I don't think there is anything else. I mean, if you really wanted to, horribly out of logic, you do have that Deep Sound big chest.
Yeah.
Hey, Cold Sir.
So you're providing us with a flute. Oh, that's a great find for Zelda.
That is a really good find. He's also
give us a minor area availability assault. There's still no medallions. And thanks to the Harpies game. So yeah, gonna go activate that flute for Zelda. That's gonna get him faster. That's gonna get him Meyer area access. No medallions, but the key does like to be under the doormat for Meyer. I would not be surprised to see a medallion underneath it.
Yeah.
In Meyer's shed, for instance.
Yeah, Meyer's shed, checkerboard cave. I'm a little surprised we haven't found any medallions yet.
No bottles either, which is impressive.
Yeah, the lack of bottles is pretty good.
Like, you'd think we'd found more than no bottles and 2 pause balls in an hour 9. Usually they're a little more evenly distributed across the 216 checks in this randomizer, because we've done probably 100 of those or close to it by this point. But nope, haven't seen them. And this is a piece big for Jet.
This could be something, like, very nice for Jet if this pays out. This is the kind of thing where, like, if you're Zelda and you watch this back and like say this ends up being like the Ice Rod or the GT Big Key, and like if you're Zelda and you end up losing this race, you like watch this back and you see like, this is why I lost. This is kind of like, gosh dang it, this is frustrating, but you know, sometimes that's how rando be. But
yep. Quake for Meyer today.
Quake. So what you're saying is we're gonna get Quake right here.
Game likes to do that to us. Well, that's a pair of boots and some bombs.
I don't think Zelda will be unhappy about that.
I don't think so either. Just Zelda continuing to find everything behind these bits, unfortunately, for Jet. Remind me again what the Ice Palace logic is for Cold Stare? Since we had one small key in the ice bake chest and the other has nowhere to be found right now.
Great. That's my logic. I don't think enough about it. I'm very much a see things in front of me, do things in front of me.
Absolutely fair. I don't have the nuances of ALttPR key logic memorized. I know OTR is the key logic decently well, but there's only so much info I can stuff in my brain, so...
I know, you know, the Canis Samaria, you know, would theoretically give Cold Stare... would put Cold Stare in logic with the big key and one Ice Palace small key, so theoretically, it's in logic.
If we have access to the Ice Palace big chest, which I don't know if we do, because I have no idea on Ice Palace key logic, unfortunately.
So Jet's gonna head over towards Ice Rod Cave now.
There's Pod Small number 3 on Bonk Rocks.
Which isn't gonna help Jet because that's behind those myths that he left behind.
Yep, and yeah, everyone's right in very different places right now, but...
Yep. And this is where some of the little bit of advantage that Jet had by skipping these checks early on and kind of helped him get the lead where he was, you know, he was into Thieves Town first, he was into Palace of Darkness first. This is where he's giving all of that back because of his decision to skip the 2 in logic checks he had in Pod in favor of going right multiple times in order to use the 2 keys he had to beat the boss.
Yeah. Because unfortunately, Helmasaur gave us a Thieves Town small key that led to nothing. As this is a play for Spike Cave.
Yep. Which I don't see this being out because Zelga's gonna be Zelga's gonna be right here basically.
Yeah. Nothing in Super Bunny Cave. Zelda playing towards information, probably here on the mountain, seeing what that TR medallion is, since we still don't have any of those things.
Yeah,
hour 13.
This is also just the most dense play he has. So.
It is. Speed's continuing to be pretty linear after mids as we see bomb boost for TR. And there's our ice rod. Yeah, well, we could get in as we get 10 bombs from Spike Cave. And our big key to Desert, so that's 2 new checks. And our small key to Pod. Alright, that's unfortunately also mislocked.
So yeah, that is not helpful for Jet.
Yeah, it's gonna be a full last location for him from it.
Because this is Dark Cross, and I don't think Jet has anything left after this except to go back into Pod.
I think you're right. Flute was on Cold Stare. I mean, Chet kind of has the hope that Zelda ends up doing all these checks he did that the Jet's done on his looking for, I don't even know what stupid stuff somewhere in the seed, but even then Zelda will be able to do it faster with Flute and Boots, so...
Yeah, like, at this point, Jet would recognize that, like, he's doing this inefficiently, and that just is unfortunately not something you can really do against a runner of Zelga's caliber.
No. Especially because the seed has continued to be incredibly linear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that mountain, like, Zelda got... Because, yeah, mids from Pod send you to Ice, which makes a lot of sense. That gets you a Flute, which sends you to Mire, and then up the mountain, which turned up Boots and not a ton else.
That Desert Big allows you to finish off Desert. Zelda, though, gonna go ahead and looks like this is gonna be a Smith play, as well as, like, kind of finishing off some of the other checks that are all in this area.
Yeah, makes sense. Route this with, like, K45, Hammer Pegs with that Smith chain, Bombo's Tablet probably into Desert from there, possibly, I think, at this rate.
Yeah, that seems most likely, which, in all honesty, should probably give us our next item of progression, which is likely Quake or the Swamp Small Key.
Quake or Swamp Small makes a lot of sense.
I'd be a little surprised if it's Bombos, but I mean, we've had access to, like, the first few checks of Turtle Rock for a while once we pick up Bombos.
Yeah, like Kane and Fire Rock were super early. Because were our first 2 TR smalls. Our first 3 TR smalls, really, actually.
So yeah, our first 3 TR smalls were pretty good.
And there's a Vanilla Tempered. Okay, game.
Heck yes.
Yeah, Jet is finally back in Pod. This is the only thing he has left in the game. Unfortunately, he has done everything else in and out of Logic, which is unfortunate.
Yep.
This is why you do not This is why you clear out the area when you're like. He only had like a handful of checks left in the game besides this one he was here earlier, and unfortunately, not going back in hurt.
And there's definitely an argument to be had to kind of do what Jet did with just 2 small keys to Pod, but the big and but also with the big key bow hammer. You know, an argument can be made to go around multiple times to maximize, you know, the number of checks in Pod that you do. What was unfortunate is that the 2 checks that he did skip, which are the 2 kind of most out of the way checks to do in Pod when you're doing this route, are also 2 of your only checks that are in Logic, and in this case has the mitts.
Yeah. And that, of course, is hard locking this seed. Let's see what Purple Chest has for Zelda. Mark Base. And I think we are actually at a point in this seed where we can talk about what our go mode is.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we need 2 medallions and 2 big keys.
2 medallions, 2 big keys, 1 small key. We haven't found that small.
And a small key. You are correct.
Because we need the Mire big, we need the GT big, which I would not be surprised to find in GT at the rate we're going, honestly.
Although there's still a lot left for our runners. Like, we still have a full Swamp, full Mire, full Turtle Rock, so you know it could still very easily just be in there.
And as expected, this is a desert play for Zelda.
Yep.
Jet's off to Ice, so it's just going to be following Zelda for the next bit.
Just going to have to be a little bit concerned about his magic. No half magic no bombos, so he's gonna have to, you know, when he gets to Cold Star, he's gonna have to use as much magic as possible using those Fire Rod shots. If he holds on to his health and goes in with full health, he will be able to do the Fire Rod dupe. So
5.
Suddenly our pod keys are existing.
Yeah, we just needed to find bits apparently. I mean, it was pretty obvious to begin with, especially given poor Jet's situation, but that was a hard logical double diff. That was a hard double diff pod logically, because fairly all of our pod spells are behind it. Pod 6 to be in pod. I mean, what's left in pod? Harmless Elevate, Big Heat Chest.
Yep.
And that's about it, I think.
Yep. Weirdly enough, like, out of everything that we've done, what we have left in logic in the seed is what Zelda is doing, which is landmail.
Yep. As I don't have logical access to finish off the last couple checks of pod, we physically cannot get any further into Swamp, we can't physically set foot in either player or TR, and we're running out of overworld checks.
Here, I'm going to smack you in the face.
I'm not
You're welcome.
going to bother. We've skipped a few maps and compasses around the places. There's our Swamp Small, so I'm not commenting too much on that. But that's our that's Swamp access.
You know what? You know where the desert map is, Beer? It's in the forest because there's a map at the mushroom spot. Checkmate.
We both skipped a long time ago. Almost an hour, 20 minutes ago. That's...
Yeah, encompass at Spec Rock.
Swamp play. Yeah, swamp play for Zelda. I mean, there's really nowhere else to go. Yeah, just a very, very linear seed ultimately, as you have to follow this very specific chain of progression to get you to your next item, unfortunately, which really doesn't help Jet, who skipped one chain in this linear link of things and is noticeably behind because there's no divergence to really be had. You get the item, you do the thing, and you find another item to go to another thing.
What check did Jet skip in Ice Palace? Because he's at question. 5 out of 8 right now.
I don't remember him opening. He didn't do the freezers.
He did freezers because he has all 4 TR.
Oh wait, no, never mind. Then not that. No, TR.
Oh, Jet fell down before doing. Freezor. I was thinking Pengator. Silly me.
There's Bombos. Speaking of this seed being stupid linear.
Oh, did Zelda pick up Bombos?
Yep, just a second ago in the second chest of Swamp there. Not enough magic, right? Yeah, thank you, chat. That was the issue. Jet, as you mentioned earlier, is very low on magic here in Ice Palace.
Yeah, he's got the keys. He's gonna need to use them to get the magic that he can right here. Jet! Open the door! Oh my god, bailed out.
Bailed out, for sure. Thankfully for him, the freezer chest was useless. I didn't write it down as anything whatsoever, but yeah, that's what he skipped.
This right there here, though, I'm very surprised to see. It looks like he's essentially walking back to go do Freezer chest.
That is quite a trip back. Yeah, that's one hurts.
Yeah, given that you didn't have the magic for this, you've already had pretty much the worst possible outcome with these mids. Like, I don't want to say this is a little bit towards admitting defeat, but this almost feels a little bit like you're admitting defeat.
Yeah, unfortunately. Because this is a considerable time sink for Jet.
Mm-hmm.
When he's already, what? Heart of Swamp, finishing off Ice, Mountain Trip, Watershed Trip. There's a bunch of things he hasn't done at this point. And it's just 5 rupees here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not even the sword or a silvers or something to help you feel better, it's just junk. That's a good big key to GT, alright, that's good for Zelda. And that's a slightly stupid spot in left side swamp there.
Yeah, that's not great, but I mean, great for Zelda, but like, it's not even a potential out for Jet at this point because he has to do it. Like, I'm going through my head like what could possibly be, you know, in Jet's favor, and I'm just coming up with nothing.
This seat's too linear for it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has to go. He's gonna get his flute here. He's gonna activate that. I'd be surprised to see him not go Watershed. We know his boots are on that. One of his Cloud Smalls is on Bonk Rocks, and he especially needs that necessarily. But he's gonna have to get his. He has to go back up mountain because his Desert Pig's on Hookshot Cave and his and his Swamp Smalls on Landmost as he gets his flute here.
Yep.
And his Temperance on Smiths, which is a bit of an ugly spot. These runners can do Master Sword Selfless get in, but even they aren't a fan of it. I don't think anyone is.
No, definitely.
As there's our big key to Meyer, and
yeah,
we are quick from go mode.
All right. Big. Amazing, like how bad the siege started off with the Moon Pearl. Like it ended up ending kind of pretty swiftly. Again, we still need a Quake medallion, but you know, Zelda knows that GT is off the table entirely.
Yeah, he's got all 3 weapons. He's just gonna run up the thing real fast. He's got 3 spawns and
yeah. And like the rest of the seed for Zelda at this point is to go finish off Pod, go into Turtle Rock and finish that off, and by then you're gonna have your Quake medallion.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not sure where Quake could. There's so little left besides those dungeons at this point.
Based on Zelga's map, there's actually nothing. Like, until we pick up our first bottle.
or the Skullwood's big, because
or the Skullwood's big.
Because we still don't have a bottle an hour 26 into the seed somehow. I don't know how, but we still don't have a single bottle. These guys need it. It's hilarious.
I'm amazed at our lack of bottles here.
Like, is that just what's in GT? All of our bottles?
Apparently.
Because there's only so much left in the game. It's that. I think we're about to be missing a boomerang. Ether could be in there, I suppose. There's not much else. And I guess the loaded junk side is going to be what's in GT. I mean, I had to fill my IRL bottle of water a little bit into this seat because I forgot to do that before comms because I knew that this would be a while, given, you know, everything. But the runners have not found a bottle in game.
Oh yeah, there was a map right there. That could have been the map to desert. I'm poking fun at the logic now.
You gotta do something here.
Gotta do something.
Back to Todd. Alright, he has to finish this Todd. Yep.
Yeah, he's gonna finish this. I mean, being one item from Go mode, it makes sense to just go straight to Helmet Sword first. We'll probably come back in afterwards for his 2 checks.
I mean, you do either go back in or you're never coming back here.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's not like, still not like Zelda has a whole lot. Like,
it's this TR and, yeah.
Yeah, and...
Scary, to be honest with you.
Given how late it is, you know, I'd very reasonable to forget about Pyramid Fairy. Yeah. It could have our first bottle.
It could.
I think we see Zelda come back into pod to get the last couple of checks, largely because I think in his mind it would probably be nice if he can avoid going back up the mountain until it's just Turtle Rock and GT.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, is that he would like to wrap those two together, since he'd like to have that be the end of the game. Being able to just run through TR is also nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yomo TR is still not the fastest here in non-inverted, but in non-entrance, but it's still nice to not have to do every check in it. As Jet finds his desert big here in Hookshot Cave. Whatever else this was, Pot Small.
I was going to compliment Zelda on his Hamos Arcane fight, but then he dashed into Hamos Arcane and ate about a heart worth of damage. But I was very impressed with, like, he did the Kana Burner dash through the turtles, and then while he was doing that dash, switched over to bombs, and was able to do the 2-bomb strat before hitting Helma with the hammer. It was a very, very cool looking. And like I said, I was going to compliment him, but then he dashed and took a couple hits, and I'm like, well, that was unfortunate.
Gonna hit a quick refresh on the streams on Restream, just since we're after an hour 30, we've got a little bit lagged.
Sounds good.
And that should be sorted now, and he's gonna run the TR now. Not actually going back into those 2 pod checks, it's just gonna run on over.
Yeah, a little surprised that he's choosing not to do Palace of Darkness, but I am not Zelda. I cannot see into his mind.
No, we are not mind readers, for all that it seems like it sometimes.
Like with the Hera?
Yes, like that. He has 5 pot smalls, yes, beer. The tracker is up to date on that front. We don't know where the 6th is. It might just be here in TR, but you don't know that.
Alright, Turtle Rock. I suspect Zelda, in an effort to try to save a little bit of time, probably won't do the 2 Fire Rod lock checks until he's done with the dungeon.
Yeah, those do take a little while. Jet is progressing apace through his progression. Unfortunately, it's just a linear change in me, and there's nothing new we'll see from him.
Yeah, and he still has to make the decision to do Left Side Swamp for his GT Big.
Yeah, finally
there's our first bottle. We've done it.
And now we're at 31 minutes in. We have our first bottle, everyone. That is easily one of the latest. I think that is one of the latest first bottles I've seen.
Agreed.
You've done 9 out of 12 dungeons, you've cleared most of your overworld, your tracker's almost full, and you now just got your first bottle. Great! We are going to see we'll have a chest here for Zelda, makes sense you want to backtrack, and for $20.
Yep, and with all the small keys, you're not risking having to dig out that 4th key from who knows where.
Yeah. As well, all four TR smalls are logically required to be in the dungeon. They can be in some fairly silly places.
Yep.
As can anything else, really, so.
Especially given that, being in the regular game of Link to the Past, this is your last dungeon. The game expects you to be pretty much heavily decked out. Thus, the requirements for Turtle Rock tend to be pretty high on the list regardless. So, it's there's a lot that tends to say that lava chest sometimes is pretty non-eventful.
Yep.
Mimic Cave, not the answer. Crystal Roller Room, not the answer. And it looks like we'll be skipping left side, which is just gonna compound everything that's gone wrong for him this seed.
Pretty much. I got a little sidetracked. Has Zelda found anything in the since that bottle, basically?
Nope.
Second bottle.
We're up to 2 bottles. We're up to a second row of hearts.
And yeah, but I mean, there's not much left to find, I guess. So the last one's a bit pointless. Still no Quake though, which is interesting.
No. So Zelga will probably just, after trying X, assuming still no Quake, come back, do the 2 right side checks, and then probably check Sick Kid real quick, and then do Pyramid Fairy into Pod. Crystal 6 for Zelga, and a Butter Sword.
Okay, well, the Vanilla Sword and Smiths won't hurt Jet, at least.
So yeah, that won't be a problem for Jet.
Since Butter versus Pepper is not a substantial difference, especially at this skill level.
Yeah, I say they can both pull off the 1-on-1 with Tempered just fine. Everybody wave goodbye to Jet's GT Big Key. Goodbye.
Yeah. He feels behind, and that's probably why he's skipping it. Unfortunately, hell, it's not. It wouldn't have saved him if he did it, but it's just bad.
It makes me wonder, like, he skipped left side, and yet he still went and walked all the way back to freeze our chest. In
There's Quake, and that's
here
now 37.
Yep.
But yeah, it is interesting that Jet went back for freezer chest and things, and did not go back for that left side swamp. So maybe the freezer chest is part of why. I don't know.
It makes me think that maybe there are like set checks that Jet will skip pretty much all the time. I do know Ice Rod Cave is something that Jet skips a lot, so I wonder if he is like pretty much always going to skip left side swamp. Is he always going to skip Ice Rod Cave when he can, or Dark Cross in some scenarios? So I wonder if that might just be part of what's coming into play here.
Maybe.
So into Mire, this is just going to be a go mode Mire. Don't need to worry about anything. The 2 Mire small keys we found fairly early on in the seed turned out to not matter at all.
Nope. Turns out that your being able to access Mire was your go mode, so yeah, not consequential at all there.
And yeah, Jet's gonna pick up his Quake Medallion. For him, that'll be GT mode. Of course, not knowing that the GT Big is in Swamp Palace, you wonder if he's gonna... how much of Mire he chooses to clear before saying, oh, I'm just gonna go into GT. Although admittedly, we probably just won't get to that point. Zelda will probably be done before that.
And they've both played pretty well. It's just a choice in routing that backfired massively on Jet today.
Yeah, like you said, both runners, their decisions were, on point for the most part, and until Jet's decision to leave 2 in-logic checks in pot, which unfortunately led to our mitts, which pretty much sent him behind the 8 ball the rest of the time. And we've kind of talked about how this seed has, for the most part, been pretty linear the entire time. There's not been a whole lot of opportunity for divergence, and that's kind of why once Jet fell behind, he was put in a position where he really couldn't catch up.
Yeah, because once you fall off the train, you're not getting back on it.
Not in this seed, unfortunately. 7 crystals, 4 Zelga, 3 pendants done, Aga 1 done. Just one more thing on his docket, and that is Ganon's Tower. I would say Ganon's Tower get big key guessing game, but that's not what this mode is about. This mode is about going fast.
Yeah, what we can discuss is what do you think his final time will be on this seed now that we're getting to the end?
This will probably be a 148. No silvers, so can't just quickly kill Ganon in phase 4. Still got to get into GT, so we're probably not getting into GT until about 142. Take about 4.5-ish minutes to climb, 90 seconds to 2 minutes for the Ganon fight. Yeah, I'd say a 148, maybe 149 is probably what we're looking at. I'll say 148.48. Zelda could also get a 150 and then on his timer in his Twitch chat be a 149.59. I don't know. There was his cross keys seed, his cross keys tournament last week, where the racetime.gg time was 2 hours, but his timer on his Twitch stream was 159.59.99.
Nice.
But race time said 2 hours on the dot, so he gave him 2 hours.
It's kind of impressive, honestly, to be that exact. But yeah, I'd agree with you on the 150 finish time, which is pretty long for these guys. The seed has been kind of terrible. 37-minute Moon Pearl was a pretty good part of it, and then just follow your items for the rest of the game, more or less.
Yeah. It's still wild to me that we talked once we got Dark World access how we had like Thieves Town and like Hype Cave and Skull Woods, and it's like
and like a bit of pod, yeah.
Yeah, we still essentially had to do what was logically a pod that was locked by one small key logically.
Yep. Because yeah, we had two Podsmals, both in logic, and just a second Podsmal does absolutely nothing for you logically.
Yep. Try next down on Jet's side. He'll be rewarded with a tempered sword.
And land those twos down for Zelda.
What check did Jet skip?
Lava chest?
Maybe?
I mean, I'm not sure what. Big chest, thank you, Ikea.
Okay. Which would also mean he didn't do Mimic Cave. Which again, I mean, he's in GT mode, so it's not the worst thing. It's, you know, we know what the outcome here is, but you know, he's still playing this out as best he can.
Feeling behind, choosing to just skip more of these slow checks.
Yep.
Which I get. It's unfortunate, really, at this point.
And yeah, Zelga's not even bothering with anything here in GT.
I mean, he doesn't need anything. Technically, I guess you could find some magic, but doesn't need it, and he knows that Jet could be right on his tail, which they were neck and neck for a lot of the seed, to be fair.
Yeah, it's very true. You know, I suspect, like you mentioned, Zelga's probably thinking, you know, him and Jet are right next to each other. So fully respect Zelga's overall desire to be like, I need to rush this as fast. I mean, I just need to go fast.
Yeah, for sure. As these are very, very skilled runners, as we were talking about at the start of the seed. Long-time runners of the community, both been around for years, and they've been showing off their skills today.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a triple there for Zelda?
I would say that looked like a nice triple. This will not be a triple.
No, that is a double, though, it looks like.
If he somehow pulled off that triple, I would have just been like, okay, dude, yeah. Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1, it looks like that was pretty nice.
Yep. I think as best as you could have asked for, given the patterns.
Yeah, there was, yeah, as you said, that if he had gotten a triple, that would have been quite impressive on the second one.
So far of note from Jet's side, we did pick up our 6th pod key here in Misery Mire.
Yeah, they had to be somewhere, so.
I think it's only Jet's 5th, but we know it's our 6th.
I think he's missing Von Crocs, potentially.
That sounds right, yeah.
Good, cannon time for Zelda. The arrows in Light World. What could that be?
We have one Light World check at our disposal.
The bottle.
It's a kid.
Of course it is. Of
That's
course it was. We're on
fantastic.
Sick Kid when we got our first bottle in an hour and 32 minutes. That's actually kind of impressive. This is like the only scene where you don't find it silvers on Sick Kid.
It's true. Anyways, get GG's for Zelda. We'll be taking game 1 of this race. Played it very, very nicely.
GG's to Zelga with a time of 1:48.28.
Yep, right as Jet finishes off crystal number 7. Looks like he, though,
has decided to not quit. Yep.
That is reasonable.
Yeah, I totally get that one. I promise the next seed will be better. Thanks, Fat Horse Text.
So we're gonna look to get our runners in here for a quick chat. Probably ask them about that moon pearl that was so lovely.
Oh. Yeah, that moon pearl. Alright, they will be both joining us for an interview shortly. Let's jump into the interview scene. Still laughing about those silvers. Oh my. Need to get Jet in the waiting room, don't tell them about then.
Sounds good.
And then I'm curious to see what they thought, because this was certainly a scene.
Yeah, so this was certainly, a lot of convoluted early game logic. Once you got the mitts, though, I think everything was just super straightforward. But up until the mitts, it was just kind of be gross and disgusting.
Yeah, this scene was not fun.
Man. Oh.
And we are now joined by both runners. GG's, guys.
GG.
Yo, GG's.
So first thing I have to ask about was the moon pearl. That was not the kindest of moon pearls this tournament.
No.
I should have had a feeling when that happened that I'd go ahead and skip mitts while I'm at it too.
Yeah.
That was a painful start.
That was.
Yeah.
You guys' last location, Matt.
We both did.
I mean, how do you not? Like, I think I had Zora left, and and the mushroom. Zora and the mushroom. That was all I had.
Jet
Which
had
is
done
funny.
this, but had skipped Dark Cross and the Ice Rock Cave. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you get the mushroom in the first chest of Agate Tower, you get the book in the second chest of Agate Tower, so it's like you're there, you have to clear Agate Tower because you just have both keys anyways.
Yeah.
And then you see the small key on Pyramid Ledge, and you're like, okay, fine, whatever. And then you see it's the Hera small key, and you're like, oh my god, I just got like 3 of the worst possible things I could have gotten
Yep.
to find this moon pearl.
I mean,
Well,
I'll be
the
honest.
Tower Smalls was in Hera too, looking at my notes.
Yeah, you had to double dip it. It was like
didn't even
when I
think
saw the
about
small
that.
key, I was like, I know this is stupid Hera. There's nothing else it can be. Just because of the whole chain, I knew it. But I honestly didn't think the pearl would end up there. I thought it was probably Book.
Yeah, but Book felt like the much more reasonable aspect there. So after the moon pearl, you guys were able to kind of route similarly. The unfortunate part of the seed happened, Jet, unfortunately, when you chose to kind of use your 2 pod keys to go around a bunch, but then you chose not to do the 2 in logic checks and missing your mitts as a result.
One bright side is that I really should have checked the chest that was on the bridge there, and I sort of just skipped it completely because I'm like, I just want to head to the back. So I was glad it wasn't there because that just would have been really bad on my part. It being the drop down chest, like that was the gamble I made, which was I valued doing everything in the back, hoping that the one chest in logic wasn't the required one, but nope. That hurt.
No. And unfortunately, the seed was just really linear from there, as you saw.
Yeah. Well, if I do left hand swamp, apparently, which I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
no, I
guess that
gotta
was the one
save
thing.
time. I had like such a shot in the dark. I'm like, just go fast and hope it's in the dungeons. Of course, what the heck did I do? I went in the ice, and that was just weird because I'm like, I don't want to skip a chest in ice because look, I got burned in pod, which was stupid. I should just skip the chests. And then later on, I'm like, let's just skip all the chests I could. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious about that because when you went to Ice Palace, you were already going in there with only half of the magic left, anyways.
Yeah.
So it came to a point to where you couldn't do those freeze chests. So yeah, you went back for that, which I found a little interesting. But I mean, I think with how unfortunate this went, I think you still played it very well. You were going to be in GT around 150.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I did, well, I was never going to GT because
right.
Left Side Swamp was dead to me. But I think if I had done it the first time I was there, it probably would have been fairly close because, clearly I want to do Turtle Rock, which Quake was like at the top. And then Trinex dropped the sword. So
yeah,
I think it could have been close, but somehow I don't. Oh man, just skipping that chest, I feel so bad. And this isn't the first time I've coin flipped in Pod. Usually it's going to be the big key chest or the Harmless Hellway, and it's like it's one or the other that might have your progression. So usually that's the gamble I lose. But yeah, this one, and I knew it the whole time. You guys saw I was like doing everything but that because it's like if it's there, I'm pretty much dead. So
yeah. No, it made sense. And speaking of swords, do you want to know where your gold sword and silvers were?
I'd like to know.
Vanilla on Smith's in Sick Kid.
No, I didn't get a bottle for an hour and 40 minutes.
The first bottle of the seed was in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that was your first bottle.
Wow, and that actually had something good. Oh, that's hilarious. I'm gonna go there right now. I still have my game open.
It's great.
We were talking about how that's like the latest bottle. Latest first bottle, and of course it has your silver.
That's actually funny.
Said Light World. I was like, well, it's pedestal or Sick Kid because I never got back to the pedestal either. Either way, it's really stupid.
That head, I was dreaming.
It was a hard piece.
You had a couple dreams with that pet and the Thieves Sound Big Chest as well.
Yeah. But when I say I last location mitts, that was really the last location. I did everything possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you skip it, it's the right play to just keep skipping it. It really is. So I don't blame you one bit. I would have done the same.
And I think the first two dungeons I did were pendants. Aside from I don't remember exactly when I did Aga Tower, but the seed felt like it really wanted to do pet. So I'm like, yeah, of course I'm gonna pull it. I maybe should have checked it when I was there, but I didn't want to walk up to check it.
No,
so disappointed.
Zelga, you've been a little quiet. Just kind of give us your overall thoughts on the seed.
Honestly, it was just a do the entire game type of seed. It just kind of played out that way. I felt a little awkward dying on my way to Dark Cross, so I was like, well, maybe I'm getting the Aga Tower late. But after I found the Pearl and how stupid it was, I was like, even if I'm behind, it can't be that bad, honestly, because no one is getting this in any reasonable time whatsoever.
Yep.
So from that point on, it was just kind of do whatever I could somewhat efficiently. And yeah, similarly, I had Thieves Town Crystal, but other than that, everything I had, I had 3 pendants and 1 crystal at that point. And then it was just, I did get the pod. I didn't have many other options, and it was like, I didn't want to go with just 2 keys, but I just made the choice that I was going to do go open the front door and go to the back and just double dip for the Helmasaur King fight. And as soon as I saw the Turtle Rock big in the back, I felt justified. Like, hey, it worked. We're good. You're probably going to have to double dip this. I never honestly considered skipping, that the mitts could have been skipped, but it makes sense if you're going to do the right side loops. That's exactly the chest that gets left behind. So definitely understandable. And then, yeah, I basically just left side swamp, honestly, it's hard to actually say I should have done it. With everything that Turtle Rock opened from that Bombos, in honesty, maybe I should have skipped it, but I was debating in my head, and I was autopiloting on my way over there while I was thinking, and was well, I guess I'm just doing it now. And as soon as the GT Big popped up, I knew that was a potential instant win condition, but obviously I didn't know how everything else was going on Jet's side.
it's super reasonable to consider that like this was as you're playing the seed, like, man, I'm neck and neck with Jet. Like, this could really have gone either way.
Yeah.
So I think how you played the seed was fine. Star, did you have anything else? I think I've asked everything I wanted to.
No, I think I'm pretty much out of questions. This seed was relatively straightforward, and it was certainly a seed. I mean, the real true divergence was those myths, and otherwise, yeah, you guys know how this turned out.
GG's to both of you.
Yeah,
For
GG's. This was your game 1. You guys do have at least one more game to play between you guys. Any idea when your next match will be?
At least one. Hopefully 2 more coming up. I'm gonna see if we're available tomorrow, actually.
Well, Wally might have something to say about that. But
I would say we do have Zelga and I do have a cross keys tournament race in the morning or early afternoon East Coast time. I can't speak for anything after that on Zelga's part, though.
I don't think I have anything super major the rest of the day, so it'll probably depend on a wife veto, but maybe game 2 tomorrow.
We do have room on the CSR schedule tomorrow. We've got an assortment of qualifiers, so I don't actually have a single other tournament match of any kind on the schedule right now, so that would be workable if you guys do decide to put one on. But good luck on that.
All right, thanks for the restream.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thank you, Star, Wally.
Yeah.
I missed Tooth Tracking thanks to Discord names being weird now.
Shoutouts to
Aker
and Lady Laura Linda. Both of them have done such a fantastic job. Aker coming in for Lady Laura Linda. Yeah, both you guys are awesome. And once again, make sure to give Jet and Zelga a follow. Both amazing random runners. Zelga, I will say that today. I won't say that tomorrow. Sorry.
Fair enough. Yeah, we can fight tomorrow and be friends again after.
Perfect. Sounds good. And Star, I think I'll let you take care of it.
All right, so please do give both of our runners a follow. Once again, zelgadissan and Jet082, as well as my co-com Wallcakes and our trackers, Lady Laura Lindell and Ike here. Thank you all so much. As well as thanks to everyone in chat for watching. Let me get ahead on the CSR schedule. As mentioned, we've got a whole collection of weekly races and qualifier races this weekend. We've got ourselves 4 qualifiers for the Season 4 and Season 6, respectively, of the Majora's Mask Randomizer and Twilight Princess, not Twilight Princess, Moonlight Randomizer, wrong key game, Rain, tournaments coming up here over the weekend. We've also got some other regular old weekly races. We might be putting on, if Zelga and Jet schedule tomorrow, we might try to put that on. And I am going to also go in, once I'm done here, stick Retro Sniper versus Bellathar scheduled their game 3 for Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, so we'll see if we can get that on as well. Plus more matches coming up for both this tournament and for the CrossFit tournament, which is ongoing if we can find volunteers. But in the meantime, that is going to be it here for us tonight. Thank you for watching all, and we will see you next time.